If you are a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, or someone waiting for immigration approval, you may have seen alarming headlines recently about seniors losing their green cards or citizenship being at risk. I want you to take a deep breath right now, because my goal today is not to scare you. My goal is to explain calmly and clearly what is actually happening, who is affected, and most importantly, who is not affected. My name is Piper, and I have been covering U.S. immigration news for years. I am not a lawyer, I am not a government official, and nothing I share today is legal advice. I am here simply to break down confusing headlines into plain English so you can understand what is real, what is rumor, and what you should actually pay attention to. Let me say this up front. The vast majority of green card holders and U.S. citizens, including seniors, are absolutely not at risk. What we are seeing right now is not a sweeping change that threatens millions of people. It is a clarification of existing rules that have been in place for decades, rules that apply to very specific and rare situations. But because the language used in official notices can sound harsh, and because headlines are designed to get clicks, many people are understandably worried. So let us walk through this together, step by step, with no panic and no confusion. Before we go further, I need to give you a quick disclaimer. I am not an immigration attorney. I am not affiliated with uscis, the Department of Homeland Security, or any government agency. Everything I share is based on publicly available information, official government sources, and my own research and understanding. If you have a specific legal question about your own case, you should consult with a licensed immigration lawyer. What I offer here is educational content to help you understand the bigger picture and make informed decisions. This is not advice tailored to your personal situation. It is general information presented in a way that I hope is clear and helpful. So, what exactly is happening this month? The notices and alerts that have gone viral are related to something called conditional permanent residence and residency requirements. There are also reminders being sent out about the responsibilities that come with being a green card holder. These are not new laws. These are not sudden policy changes that just appeared overnight. What has happened is that uscis and related agencies have started sending more direct reminders to certain groups of people, and some of those reminders mention consequences for not meeting specific requirements. The language in these official letters can sound very serious, and that has caused confusion. Let me be very clear about something. If you are a green card holder who has been living in the United States continuously, who has not committed serious crimes, who has filed your taxes, and who has not spent long periods of time outside the country, you are not at risk. If you are a naturalized U.S. citizen, meaning you went through the full citizenship process and took the oath, your citizenship is protected by the Constitution and cannot be taken away except in extremely rare cases involving fraud during the application process itself. And even in those cases, it requires a full legal proceeding in federal court with evidence, lawyers, and the right to defend yourself. It does not happen quietly or quickly. Now let me explain who these recent notices are actually aimed at. There are a few specific groups. First, people who obtained their green card through marriage and are still within the 2-year conditional period. If you married a U.S. citizen or green card holder and received a green card, your first green card is usually conditional for 2 years. Before those 2 years are up, you and your spouse must file a joint petition to remove the conditions. If you do not file that petition on time, your green card can be terminated. This is not new. This rule has existed for many years to prevent marriage fraud. If your green card is no longer conditional, meaning you already completed that process, or you got your green card through a different route like employment or family sponsorship that did not involve marriage, this does not apply to you. Second, green card holders who have spent extended time outside the United States without obtaining a re-entry permit. If you are a permanent resident and you leave the United States for more than 6 months, USCIS may question whether you actually intend to live in the U.S. permanently. If you leave for more than 1 year without a re-entry permit, you can be considered to have abandoned your residency. Again, this is not a new rule. It has always been part of the requirements for maintaining a green card. If you have been living in the United States and only take short trips abroad for vacation or family visits, this does not affect you. If you are a senior who travels to visit family in your home country for a few weeks or even a few months each year, and you always come back to your home in the US, you are fine. The issue arises only when someone essentially moves abroad and stops living in the United States while still holding a green card. Third, there have been reminders sent to people who have not responded to requests for information or who missed immigration appointments. If USCIS sends you a notice asking for documents or scheduling an interview and you do not respond, they can deny your application or even begin removal proceedings in extreme cases. This applies to people who are in the middle of applying for something, like a green card renewal, citizenship, or adjustment of status. If you are not currently in an active application process, you would not be receiving these kinds of notices. And if you did receive a notice and you responded appropriately, you are also fine. Let me pause here and address seniors specifically, because I know many of you watching this are in your 60s, 70s, or older, and you may feel particularly vulnerable. You may have been a green card holder for decades. You may have raised your children here, worked here, paid taxes here, and built your entire life in the United States. The idea that something you did or did not do could suddenly put that at risk is terrifying. I want you to hear this clearly. If you have maintained your green card properly, meaning you have lived in the US, you have not committed serious crimes, and you have not abandoned your residence by moving abroad permanently, your green card is safe. The government is not going through old records looking for reasons to deport longtime residents. That is not what is happening. What is happening is that USCIS is reminding people of the rules that already exist, and they are being more direct in their language about consequences. This is partly because there has been an increase in fraud cases, and partly because the system is trying to be more transparent about what can happen if someone does not follow the rules. But transparency in government language can sometimes sound scary, even when the actual risk to most people is very low. Now let us talk about the difference between a mistake and fraud, because this is critically important. If you made an honest error on a form, if you forgot to report a short trip, if you misunderstood a question and gave an incomplete answer, that is not fraud. Fraud means intentionally lying or hiding information in order to gain an immigration benefit you are not entitled to. For example, if someone entered a fake marriage just to get a green card, that is fraud. If someone lied about their criminal history or used a false identity, that is fraud. But if you accidentally wrote the wrong date, or you forgot to mention a job you had many years ago, or you did not understand a legal term and answered incorrectly, that is a mistake. Mistakes can usually be corrected. You may need to file an amended form, provide additional documents, or explain the error in an interview. It is stressful, yes, but it is fixable. Fraud, on the other hand, is a serious violation that can lead to denial of benefits, removal from the country, and even criminal charges. But the bar for proving fraud is high. The government has to show that you knowingly and intentionally deceived them. A simple error does not meet that standard. Let me also clarify something about naturalized citizens, because there has been a lot of confusion online. If you are a naturalized U.S. citizen, meaning you went through the entire process, passed the test, attended the ceremony, and took the oath of allegiance, you have the same citizenship as someone born in the United States. Your citizenship cannot be revoked simply because of a disagreement, a complaint, or even a minor mistake on your application years ago. The only way citizenship can be taken away is through a legal process called denaturalization, and it is extremely rare. It requires the government to prove in federal court that you obtained citizenship through fraud or by willfully misrepresenting or concealing material facts. Even then, you have the right to a lawyer, the right to present evidence, and the right to appeal. Denaturalization cases usually involve serious issues like war crimes, terrorism, or lying about identity. They do not involve everyday mistakes or minor inconsistencies. If you have been a U.S. citizen for years, you have voted, you have a U.S. passport, you have lived your life as an American, you are not at risk of losing your citizenship because of a headline or a rumor. I want to talk about dual citizenship for a moment, because this also comes up frequently in these discussions. Some people worry that having citizenship in another country, or maintaining ties to their birth country, could be seen as a lack of loyalty to the United States. This is not true. The United States allows dual citizenship. You can be a citizen of the U.S. and another country at the same time. You can have a passport from both countries. You can own property in another country, visit family there, even work there temporarily if you choose. None of that affects your U.S. citizenship. What the U.S. does require is that when you take the oath of citizenship, you pledge allegiance to the United States and agree to support and defend the Constitution. But that does not mean you have to give up emotional, cultural, or family connections to another country. It simply means that your legal and civic loyalty is to the United States. Maintaining a relationship with your heritage is not a problem. It never has been. Now let me walk you through what you should actually do if you are concerned. First, if you are a green card holder, make sure your green card is not expired or close to expiring. If it is expiring within the next 6 months, you should file Form I-90 to renew it. This is a standard process. It does not mean anything is wrong. It just means you need an updated card. Second, if you travel outside the United States, keep records of your trips. Save your boarding passes, entry and exit stamps in your passport, and any documents that show when you left and when you returned. If you ever need to prove that you maintained your residence in the U.S., having this documentation will help. Third, make sure your address is always up to date with uscis. If you move, you must file Form AR-11 within 10 days. This is a requirement, and it ensures that you receive any notices or requests from uscis. If they send something to an old address and you do not receive it, that can cause problems. Fourth, if you receive any notice or letter from uscis, read it carefully and respond by the deadline. If you do not understand what it is asking for, seek help from a qualified immigration attorney or an accredited representative. Do not ignore it, and do not assume it is a scam. USCIS does send legitimate mail, and you need to respond. If you are thinking about applying for citizenship and you have been a green card holder for at least 5 years, or 3 years if you are married to a U.S. citizen, now may be a good time to start that process. Citizenship gives you additional security and benefits, including the right to vote, the ability to sponsor family members more easily, and protection from deportation. The process can take several months to over a year, depending on where you live, but it is worth considering if you meet the requirements. You do not have to apply for citizenship if you do not want to. You can remain a green card holder for your entire life if you prefer. But if you are worried about the security of your status, citizenship is the most permanent option. Let me also address processing times, because this is causing a lot of anxiety right now. USCIS is experiencing significant backlogs in almost every category: green card renewals, citizenship applications, family-based petitions, employment-based visas. Everything is taking longer than it used to. It is not unusual for a green card renewal to take 10 to 14 months right now. Citizenship applications can take 12 to 18 months or more in some areas. This does not mean your case is in trouble. It does not mean you did something wrong. It simply means the system is overwhelmed. USCIS has been working to hire more staff and improve processing, but it is a slow process. If your green card expires while your renewal is pending, you will receive a receipt notice that extends your status. You can use that receipt notice along with your expired green card as proof of your status for up to 24 months in most cases. If you need to travel, you can also request an I-551 stamp in your passport at a local uscis office, which serves as temporary proof of your green card status. Yes, it is frustrating to wait. Yes, it is stressful to have an expired card even if you know you are still legal. But this is the reality of the system right now, and it is affecting millions of people, not just you. I want to take a moment to talk about the emotional side of this, because I know that behind every green card, every application, every case number, there is a real person with a real life. If you are a senior watching this, you may have come to this country decades ago with hopes and dreams. You may have worked hard jobs to support your family. You may have learned a new language, adapted to a new culture, and sacrificed so much to build a life here. The thought that any of that could be at risk because of a rule you did not fully understand or a letter you did not receive is deeply frightening. I want you to know that your feelings are valid. It is okay to feel scared. It is okay to feel frustrated with a system that often feels confusing and impersonal. But I also want you to know that you are not alone. Millions of people are navigating this same system. Millions of people are waiting, worrying, and trying to do everything right. And the vast majority of them, including you, will be okay. If you are someone waiting for a green card or waiting for citizenship, I know the uncertainty is exhausting. You may feel like your life is on hold. You may not be able to travel freely. You may not be able to take certain jobs. You may not feel fully settled because you are still waiting for approval. This is one of the hardest parts of immigration. The waiting, the not knowing, the feeling that your future depends on a decision being made by someone you will never meet. But please remember that waiting does not mean denial. Silence from uscis does not mean something is wrong. In most cases, it simply means your case is in line with thousands of others, and it will be reviewed when it reaches the front of the queue. Keep your documents organized, keep your address updated, respond to any requests promptly, and try to live your life as fully as you can while you wait. Do not put everything on hold indefinitely. Make plans. Pursue your goals. Trust that the process, slow as it is, will move forward. Let me summarize what we have covered today, because I want to make sure the key points are clear. The recent alerts and notices about green cards and seniors are not new laws. They are reminders of existing rules, sent with stronger language than before. The vast majority of green card holders and U.S. citizens are not at risk. If you have maintained your residence in the United States, followed the rules, and responded to any notices from uscis, you are fine. The situations that lead to green card revocation or citizenship denaturalization are rare, serious, and involve legal proceedings, not sudden decisions. Mistakes are not the same as fraud. Dual citizenship is allowed. Processing times are long right now, but delays do not mean denials. If you are worried about your specific situation, consult with an immigration attorney who can review your case and give you advice based on your individual circumstances. The immigration system in the United States is complex, it is slow, and it can feel overwhelming. But it is also structured, it is governed by laws, and it provides rights and protections to people at every stage of the process. You are not at the mercy of random decisions. You have rights. You have the ability to respond, to appeal, to seek legal help, and to present your case. The system is not perfect, but it is not designed to trick you or trap you. It is designed to process millions of cases fairly, even if it does so slowly. Your job is to stay informed, to keep your documents in order, to respond when needed, and to seek help when you are unsure. You do not need to panic. You do not need to make hasty decisions. You need to take things one step at a time, with accurate information and a clear head. I want to thank you for watching today. I know this topic can feel heavy, and I appreciate you taking the time to learn the truth instead of reacting to fear-based headlines. If you found this helpful, I encourage you to share it with anyone else who might be worried. Knowledge is power, and the more people understand what is really happening, the less fear and confusion there will be. If you have questions, or if there are other immigration topics you would like me to cover, feel free to leave a comment below. I read them, and I do my best to address common concerns in future videos. Please remember that I am not a lawyer and I cannot give personal legal advice, but I am here to help you understand the system as best I can. Before I go, I want to leave you with this. You came to this country, or you were born here, or you are working toward making this your home. Whatever your path, you are part of a long tradition of people who believed in the possibility of building a better life. The system may be slow, the rules may be complicated, the waiting may be exhausting, but you are stronger than you think, and you are more protected than the headlines would have you believe. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay calm, and know that for the overwhelming majority of people, everything is going to be okay. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.